Hare Krishna, Prabhu. You can start.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopichana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopichana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopichana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopichana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jai Vishnu Bhagavan Vamsa Prajakshya Shruti Sadasti Srimati Swayam Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada की जय इसका संस्थापक श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय जय विश्वपाद हम सब अध्यक्ष सूत्र सदस्य श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय जय विश्वपाद गुरु किशोर दास बाबू महाराज की जय जय विश्वपाद सच्चे अध्यक्ष भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय जय ओम विष्णुवाद वैष्णव सातवाम श्री जगन्नाथ दास गौरी महाराज की जय। जय श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। नामाचार्य दास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से गोश्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री द्वैत प्रसाद गौर भक्तविंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोविंद श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय। श्री गौरांगी बेंगलोरेश्वर भगवान की जय। श्री माईपुर धाम की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। अमृत माई की जय। भक्ति देव की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद भागवतम की जय। इस्कॉन वर्तमान गुरुवंद की जय। समाज भक्तवृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंद हरे। All glories to the assembly. All glories to the assembly. All glories to the assembly. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gaurang. All glories to Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Nashtaprayeshu Patreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtihi. Hare Krishna, welcome you all to this Friday morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 33, text number 4. Sattvam brito me jatare nanatha katam nu yashodara etadasi vishwam yugante vadapatra ekaha shete sma maya shishurangri panah Sattvam brito me jatare nanatha katam nu yashodara etadasi vishwam yugante vadapatra ekaha shete sma maya shishur angripanah sattvam brito me jatare nanatha katam nu yashodara etadasi vishwam yugante vadapatra ekaha shete sma maya shishur angripanah. Translation Prabhupada. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you have taken birth from my abdomen. O my Lord, how is that possible for the Supreme One who has in his belly all the cosmic manifestation? The answer is that it is possible. For at the end of the millennium, you lie down on a leaf of a banyan tree, and just like a small baby, you lick the toe of your lotus foot. Popat Srila Prabhupada. At the time of dissolution, the Lord sometimes appears as a small baby, lying on a leaf of a banyan tree, floating on the devastating water. Therefore, Devavati suggests your lying down within the abdomen of a common woman like me is not so astonishing. You can lie down on the leaf of a banyan tree and float on the water of devastation as a small baby. It is not very wonderful, therefore, that you can lie down in the abdomen of my body. You teach us that those who are very fond of children within this material world and who therefore enter into marriage to enjoy family life and children can also have the Supreme Personality of Godhead as their child. And the most wonderful thing is that the Lord Himself licks his toe. Since all the great sages and devotees apply all energy and all activities in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord, there might be some transcendental pleasure in the toes of the lotus feet. The Lord licks his toe to taste the nectar for which the devotees always aspire. Sometimes the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself wonders how much transcendental pleasure is within Himself, and in order to taste His own potency, He sometimes takes the position of tasting Himself. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna Himself, but He appears as a devotee to taste the sweetness of the transcendental mellow in Himself, which is tasted by Srimati Radharani, the greatest of all devotees. Om Akyanti Mirandas Jnananjan Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manubhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Udapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakriyatam Saganirigunakanditam Tam Sijivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagan Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Mustite Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Ushaban Ste Devi Paramami पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मोहन करोति वाचालं दिव्यं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं श्री चैतन्येश्वरम्। Hare Krishna. So here, Mother Devhuti is offering her prayers. The Lord, she said that you have taken birth from my abdomen. How is that possible for a Supreme Lord like you, who has in his belly all the cosmic manifestation? So, she's further stating that the answer is it is possible for the end of millennium. You lie down on a leaf of a banyan tree, and just like a small baby, you lick the toe of your lotus feet. So, Mother Devhuti is first asking the Lord, how is it that a great Supreme Lord like you can take birth from my belly, who I am a very insignificant one? In fact, she is petitioning herself, though she is the mother of the Supreme Lord, as Lord Kapila. Still, she is very humbly petitioning that how is it possible for you, a Supreme Lord like you, to take birth from my abdomen, from my belly? Then she further says, yes, it is possible, because at the time of devastation, you lie down on a banyan tree, leaf of a banyan tree, and uh, just like a very small baby, you lick the toe of your lotus feet. So here we'll understand. One thing is that the Lord is Swarat, he is independent. He can appear whenever he wants, wherever he wants, however he wants, and generally he does this to satisfy the desires of, of his pure devotees. Now, there is one example, is like in the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, how Krishna appeared from the womb of Mother Devaki. So, it is said even when Mother Yashoda, she was playing with Krishna, she actually saw uh, Krishna in her womb. So it is said that when Balaram were actually playing their, Mother Yashoda saw all the universes in Krishna's mouth. So Krishna has got all the universes in her mouth, but at the same time he appeared from the womb of Mother Devaki. So Krishna is independent. If you look at the other incarnations of Krishna, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared from the womb of Mother Sachi. If you look at the Lord as Narsingadev, he appeared from the pillar. And if you look at Vamandev, he appeared from the nostrils of Lord Brahma, and he appeared with like a small insect when he came out of the nostrils of Brahma. Now, first and the foremost, we normally consider our nostrils to be very dirty. So even if we put our finger inside to clean the nose, we clean it because the nostrils are dirty. But in the case of Lord Krishna, he appeared as Varahadev, and he came out as a small insect from Brahma's nose, and there of a sudden he started growing in size, and he became Varahadev, which was more than the size of a mountain. So similarly, if you look at Vamanadev, the Lord appeared from the womb of a Brahmana. Now, in all these cases, if we see, the Lord is independent and he appears to satisfy the desires of his devotees. So one time when Mother Yashoda was feeding Krishna, she told Krishna that, see, I have a lot of complaints about you, that you go and steal butter and all these things. And this time she's telling Krishna that even Balarama saw, along with all of your friends, that they are all complaining that you go and steal butter from them. So Krishna was at that time a little bit afraid. I mean, he's not actually afraid. Fear itself is afraid of Krishna, fear personified. But Krishna pretends as if he's afraid. So he says, when she told him that, why are you going and stealing butter? Krishna replies, my dear mother, all these boys, friends, including my elder brother Balarama, are speaking lies against me. I have never eaten any clay, that means any mud. So my elder brother Balarama, while playing with me, got angry, and so therefore he has also joined the other boys to complain against me. But they have all combined together to complain to you so that you become angry and chastise on me. So if you think they are truthful, then you can look within my mouth itself and I can open it and show you. So immediately Mother Yashoda said, yes, open your mouth and I want to see. So when Krishna opened his mouth, Mother Yashoda was actually shocked because she saw the opulent universal form of the Lord in his mouth, where all the universes are there, mountains, oceans, seas, planets, everything was there within his mouth. Water, earth, sky, ether, everything was there, the senses. She saw all the demigods, all the objects of the senses like sound, smell, etc. So when she saw all these things, she was in fact little bit surprised. But Krishna bewildered her by his illusory potency, so that she does not get carried away with the feeling of understanding Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because Krishna was actually enjoying the rasa as Mother Yashoda's, as the rasa of Mother Yashoda's mother. So he did not want this to be disturbed, because when one is enjoying Krishna as a supreme Godhead, that rasa is a little bit lesser than the mellow as mother. So with his illusory potency, he started revealing all these things for some time. And uh, uh, he said, when Mother Yashoda saw this, she immediately was shocked. She said, let me offer my obeisances unto you. I'm thinking that Mother Maharaja Nanda is my husband and Krishna is my son. But how come that I'm seeing that all the cowherd men all are there? And this misconception was due to the actually illusory energy of the Lord. So she said that let me pray to him that he may protect me always. So Mother Yashoda, she was shocked and she said that let me pray to the Lord so that my son will get protection. So then immediately after some time, Krishna, just to bewilder her with her maternal affection, immediately Krishna removed the curtain of Maya, and then she forgot all those philosophical speculation and accepted Krishna as her own child. Then she took him on her lap and became overwhelmed with maternal affection. So she thus began to think of the Supreme Godhead, who is understood through the process of cultivating knowledge derived from Upanishads, etc. So in this pastime, Mother Yashoda saw all the universes in the mouth of Krishna. Now the same thing is mentioned when Krishna was born from the womb of Mother Devaki. Now here in particular, the Mother Devahuti is telling the Lord that at the end of devastation, now there is a devastation on a periodical basis. Devastation takes place at the night of Brahma, another at the life of Brahma, and so forth. So at the end of life of Brahma, there is a pastime mentioned, the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, how the Lord binds up everything in this material manifestation and binds up his pastimes. So there is a great rishi called Markandeya Rishi, who was a very great devotee of the Lord. So once he offered a lot of prayers glorifying the Supreme Lord. And then Lord Narayana, who was a friend of Nara, was satisfied by the proper glorification offered by Markandeya Rishi. So the Lord told Markandeya, my dear Markandeya, you are indeed the best of all the learned Brahmanas. You have protected your life also by practicing fixed meditation upon the Supreme Soul, as well as by focusing upon me, your undeviating devotional service, your austerities, etc. So we are perfectly situated with the practice of lifelong celibacy. So this is how Krishna actually glorified Markandeya Rishi. Then he goes on to tell Markandeya Rishi, please choose whatever benediction that you want. And since I can grant you a wish, please ask for it. And he said, may you enjoy all good fortune. Then the sage said, O Lord of Lords, all glories to you, O Lord Achyuta. You remove all distress for the devotees who surrender unto you. That you have allowed me to see you is all the benediction I want. That means Markandeya Rishi is saying that you have removed all the dresses of all the devotees who are surrendered to you. And now you are actually allowed me to see you in all the benediction that I want. So demigods such as Lord Brahma, they all got their exalted position simply by seeing the beautiful lotus feet of the Lord. And their minds were focused in meditation on the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that Markandeya Rishi points out that exalted demigods like Brahma, they got their exalted position simply by glimpsing at the Lord's lotus feet. But yet Markandeya Rishi was able to see the Lord Krishna's entire body. Thus, he could not even imagine the extent of his good fortune. So Markandeya Rishi thought that it's a very great fortune, which rishis might not have got, but I've got this fortune of seeing the Lord. So he says, O lotus-eyed Lord, uh, jewels of renowned personalities, although I'm satisfied simply by seeing you, I do wish to see your illusory potency, by whose influence the whole entire world together with its ruling demigods considers reality to be materially variegated. So Markandeya Rishi wants the Lord to reveal the Lord's illusory potency by which the whole material world gets carried over and shows material variegatedness. Now, normally a conditioned soul like us see this material world to be constituted and independent and of all the living entities, independent separate entities. All are being independent of the Lord. So actually everything is united under the potency of the Supreme Lord. So Markandeya Rishi was curious to witness that exact process by which Maya, the Lord's bewildering potency, casts living entities into illusion. So in other words, he wanted to see that illusory potency of the Lord by which the Lord he puts the living entities into illusion or Maya. Being satisfied with Markandeya Rishi's prayers and his asking for benediction, Krishna replied, so be it. And then Krishna departed for his hermitage at Badrikashrama. So this incident happened at Badrikashrama. So thinking always of his desire to see the Lord's energy, Markandeya Rishi remained in his ashrama, meditating constantly on the Lord, with the Lord being present in sun, moon, water, earth, etc. So sometimes uh, overwhelmed by the by waves of love of the Lord, Markandeya Rishi would forget to perform his even regular worship. Now he was a very great devotee of the Lord, and uh, when he was meditating on the bank of a river in the ashram, all of a sudden there was a sudden wind, strong wind that blew, a very great sound, and with it came a lot of thundering clouds, etc., accompanied by lightning, so forth. And then the heavy rain, torrents of heavy rain poured down as uh, heavily. Then the oceans, they were all swallowing everything on the surface of the earth with their wind-tossed waves. So in these oceans, as mentioned, were also terrible sea monsters, fearful whirlpools, etc. So Markandeya Rishi saw all the inhabitants of the universe, including himself, tormented within and without by the harsh winds, the bolts of lightning, etc. And the whole earth flooded, he grew up perplexed. So uh, all of a sudden, Markandeya Rishi saw the Lord uh, on a leaf of a banyan tree. The Lord was lying down on a leaf. You know what is the size of a banyan tree? Very small leaf. But he saw the Lord lying down on a leaf of a banyan tree, and suddenly he was surprised. And then the Lord inhaled. The Lord took his breathing inside. And when the Lord inhaled, Markandeya Rishi also went inside along with the Lord's breath, and he was into the belly of Markandeya Rishi. So, and when he was taken inside by the force of the wind into the Lord's this thing, Markandeya Rishi saw all the universes in the abdomen of Sri Krishna. And Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti points out that so many devotees are hankering to see the Lord, but Markandeya Rishi saw the Lord himself very nicely. And then when the Lord exhaled, the Markandeya Rishi also came out just like a body, like a mosquito comes out of a huge body. So when the Lord inhaled, the Markandeya Rishi went inside, and then he saw all the universes in the abdomen of the Lord. And then when the Lord exhaled, Markandeya Rishi also came out just like a mosquito. So then the sage found that the entire universe was very nicely arrayed as it was being before the dissolution itself. So seeing this, Markandeya Rishi was also astonished and perplexed. So the sage saw everything live, countries, rivers, so many things. All people are running around. So he saw also before him the Himalaya mountains and his own hermitage, and all those things he saw. Then again, as he started beholding the universe, the Lord exhaled, expelling the sage from his body and cast him back into the ocean of dissolution. So when the Lord exhaled, Markandeya Rishi also got thrown out, and then he was back into the ocean of dissolution, which was already filled up with a lot of water. So it is mentioned as to how the Lord is Swarat, or he is independent, and that's how the Lord takes his birth, not at the, of course, to fulfill the desire of the devotee, but then he is independent on his own. So it is mentioned in the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that sometime, at the time of dissolution, the Lord sometimes appears as a small baby lying on the leaf of a tree, one banyan tree, floating on the devastating water. That means when the earth is being inundated with the devastating water, he saw the Lord floating on a leaf of a banyan tree. Therefore, Devahuti suggests that you are lying down within the abdomen of a common woman like me is not so astonishing. You can lie down on the leaf of a banyan tree and float on that water of devastation as a small baby. So it is not very wonderful that you can also lie down in my abdomen, in the abdomen of my body. So here Srila Prabhupada mentions as to how the Lord takes these roles to fulfill the desire of the devotees. Which devotees? Grihasthas. Now, normally, there are two ashramas, Grihasthas and Grihamedi. Grihasthas are the one where the husband and wife live a life with Krishna in the center, whereas the Grihamedis, they enter into the ashram with a desire to have sense gratification. So here, Krishna Prabhupada mentions about those who are husband and wife who want to enjoy this material life, but still they have a desire to have children, grihasthas in the ashrama. There, the Lord can also appear as their child. So that means those who have a desire and living with a desire to satisfy Krishna, and want to have a children, the Lord can fulfill that desire by becoming a child. Just as we see here how Mother Devahuti became the mother of Lord Kapila, Mother Yashoda, Mother Devaki, and Mother Yashoda became mother of Lord Krishna. So the Krishna can appear to fulfill the desires of these Grihastha devotees. So even when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there, it is said that he gave several instructions to different devotees depending on what he thought would be the most suitable. For example, it is said that he told Raghunath Das Goswami to go and marry, and he also told Nityananda Prabhu to enter Grihastha ashram. He thought what was most needed at that time was that perfect society of Grihastha ashrama is required. Also, to some, uh, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, some of the associates who came from Bengal and came to Puri along with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like Mukunda, Raghunandan, etc., he told they earn material and spiritual wealth. He said that you earn material wealth by your occupation, but also earn some spiritual wealth and utilize it for spreading Krishna consciousness in the society. Then he told Raghunandan, who was also a great devotee, he told him to engage in serving the deity in the temple and even imbibe Krishna consciousness to the visitors. Then he told Narahari Thakur, who was also a great devotee of the Lord, to remain in the association of devotees and preach the glories of the Lord to the others. So one who preaches this message of the Lord must first actually practice. One cannot preach without practicing it. That means if we don't practice what we preach will not have any effect. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted him to preach the message of the Lord as it is. That is why what is called Grihastha Ashrama is meant to be living on that mentality. So the ashrama is very important in the sense that in the Grihastha Ashrama, one should not be attached to material opulence and material um, opulence. Whereas the ashrama, in that ashrama, one is supposed to develop a consciousness of detachment and renunciation. Renunciation means not giving up all these material opulences, but rather utilizing everything in the service of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada also mentioned that it is not very easy to become detached in Grihastha Ashrama. But that is where training is very, very important and can help a person to progress in Krishna consciousness. That is how in the earlier years, uh, people used to send their children to Gurukula, like Gokul, etc. And they were properly trained so that they could take their respective varna and ashrama. Based on the qualities of one who has developed in their previous births, they were identified and placed respectively for training. So Mother Devoti in this sloka is praying that you teach us by example that those who want children in this material world can also get children by after married life by having Supreme Personality of Godhead as their own son. But the Lord fulfills his that. And another important point is that in this pastime of the Lord floating in a leaf of banyan tree, it is said that the Lord was licking his own toes. Many times we see children may lick their own toes and put it into the mouth. And similarly, when the Lord revealed this form to Markandeya Rishi, he revealed as if the Lord was sucking the toes of his lotus feet into his mouth. So the point is that there is a lot of transcendental pleasure situated in the lotus of the feet of the Lord's toes. So we'll understand few points on those. Lord's lotus feet is like a desire tree, and by meditating on this Lord's lotus feet as a desire tree, one can fulfill all his desires also. When a devotee wants to see the transcendental form of the Lord, he actually starts meditation on the Lord's body by first looking at the lotus feet of the Lord. That means when we see a deity even in a temple, we should start looking from the lotus feet of the Lord, and gradually one should rise to his thighs, waist, chest, and face, and then one should not try to look at the face of the Lord without seeing this lotus feet of the Lord. Why? Because it is said that the lotus feet of the Lord is very dear to the Lord Himself. It is not like our feet, which we materially we walk around, we might gather dirt and etc. But the Lord's lotus feet is transcendental in nature, and irrespective of whatever it is, that it is always pure and transcendental. So when we meditate on the Lord's form, first we should see His lotus feet and gradually go up. So in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a mention as to how by his constitutional position, Lord Shiva is always great and auspicious. He says, Since he has accepted on his head the Ganges water which emanated from the lotus feet of the Lord, he has become even more auspicious and important. That means the Lord Shiva is a Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu is a very great devotee of the Lord. Apart from that, he has taken on his head the Ganges water. This is also another pastime. I'll not dwell into that pastime today for lack of time. So Ganges water came down from the top of the universe with a very heavy force, and it would have completely inundated the entire universe. But Lord devotees approached Lord Shiva, and he immediately accepted on his head the pressure of this Ganges water. Now, this Ganges water is nothing but it emanates from the toe of the Lord's lotus feet. Which is most important. The Lord, as Vamanadev, he covered the universe in three steps. So, in one of the steps, the Lord pushed his lotus feet on to the universe from on the top, and then the Ganges water started flowing down with a heavy pressure. The moment it came down, started coming down with a lot of pressure, everyone was afraid. But then Lord Shiva agreed that he will take this strength of the flow of Ganges on his head and reduce the pressure by the time it flows down the earth. This is how Lord Vamandev also performed that pastime. So Lord's lotus feet is so auspicious that even Ganges is already purified. It's a pure holy water. But still, Ganges is very fortunate to have on her the Lord's lotus feet. And Lord Shiva is also very, very fortunate to have that Ganges water which is touched from the lotus feet of the Lord. The third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a quote which says that where the four Kumaras we all know, they say that the lotus feet of Lord Krishna are the ultimate reservoir of all the pleasure that is there. That means we try to seek so much of material pleasure, but we don't derive that pleasure. But Lord Krishna's lotus feet are the ultimate reservoir of all the pleasure that we. In the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a quote which describes the beauty of the lotus feet of the Lord. It says that the beauty of the lotus feet is compared to the petals of a lotus flower which grows in the autumn season. That means if you see a lotus flower, it is very, very attractive. Why Lord's body, Lord's face, Lord's feet are all called lotus flower, lotus feet, lotus face, etc. Because lotus is the most beautiful flower in the entire creation. So the petals of a lotus flower are compared to the Lord's lotus feet. And by nature's law, in autumn, dirty or muddy waters of the rivers and lakes become very clean. At that time, the lotus flower growing in the lakes appear very bright and beautiful. So the lotus flower itself is compared to the lotus feet of the Lord, and the petals are compared to the nails of the feet of the Lord. So in the fourth canto itself, there is a description given as to why the Lord's feet are called lotus feet. It says the spiritual planet Goloka Vrindavana, which is the eternal abode of Krishna, is shaped like the whorl of a lotus flower. So when the Lord descends to any of the mundane planets, he does so by manifesting his own abode as it is. Thus his feet remain always on the same big whorl of the lotus flower. So the Lord may be present at this in the eternal abode as he is always present. He does not leave Goloka Vrindavana. But then when he descends to the material world, he does so by manifesting his own abode, and he exhibits his lotus feet also. And his feet are as beautiful as the lotus flower. Therefore, it is said that Lord has got a lotus feet. There is another quote which mentions in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam as to how pure devotees they get attached to the Krishna's lotus feet. They are always hankering after the lotus feet of the Lord. The lotus has got a kind of honey which is transcendently relished by the devotees. So, the honeybee, it is said that the honeybee goes around and takes the pollen from one flower to the other. So, lotus has got that honey which is transcendently relished by the devotees. So, they are like the bees who are always after the honey. Srila Rupa Goswami, one of our acharyas, he says in one of his songs, he comparing himself to the bee. He says, "Oh my Lord Krishna, I beg to offer my prayers unto you. My mind is like a bee, and it is after some honey." So here, the Goswami says, Rupa Goswami says that he is offering prayers to the Lord. He says, "My mind is like a honey bee, which is running after searching for some honey. Therefore, give me bee mind. Let my mind be like a bee, by which he can get a shelter at your lotus feet." Further, he says, Srila Rupa Goswami says, I know that even big demigods like Brahma do not see the rays of the nails of your lotus feet, even though they are engaged in deep meditation for years together. I mean, Lord the Brahma is always engaged in deep meditation for creation, when it is the creation is to take place. But still, he is not so fortunate to see even the ray that comes out from the nails of the Lord's lotus feet. And Brahma says, "Oh, further, Rupa Goswami says, "Still, O infallible one, my ambition is such for you are very merciful to your surrendered devotees." He says, "Oh Madhava, I know that I have no genuine devotion for the service of your lotus feet, but because your lordship is inconceivably powerful, you can do what is impossible to be done." And he says that your lotus feet can deride even the nectar of the heavenly kingdom, and therefore I am very much attracted by them. So Lord Lotus feet is like a nectar that comes from the heavenly kingdom. And Srila Rupa Goswami is aspiring to achieve that nectar. And then he says, "Therefore, let my mind be fixed at your lotus feet, so that eternally I may be able to release the taste of your transcendental service." So Sri Rupa Goswami is praying that let my mind be always fixed at your lotus feet, so that I can release the taste for transcendental devotional service. So devotees are always satisfied with being placed at the lotus feet of the Lord. This is what is mentioned here in this particular sloka also. Everything that is there, all the universes, the cosmic manifestation, the living entities, all of them are placed at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. One more quote from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. It says, "There's no need to visit any holy place. Lord Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is described as Tirtha Pada. Tirtha means sanctified place, and Pada means the lotus feet of the Lord. So generally it is mentioned as to how people go to sanctified place to free themselves of all the sinful reactions. But uh, all these holy rivers are present at the lotus feet of the Lord Himself. In other words, those who are devoted to the lotus feet of the Lord automatically become sanctified by taking bath in the all the holy rivers. And the Lord's lotus feet is called Tirtha Pada because under their protection there are hundreds and thousands of saintly persons who sanctify the sacred place of pilgrimage. So it is said that people who go take bath in Ganges River, Yamuna River, etc., they go to take bath and wash off their sins. But pure devotees of the Lord, by taking bath in these holy rivers, they purify these holy rivers also. And Lord's lotus feet is a shelter of all these holy rivers. And further, there's in the prayer it says, "It is very troublesome to go from one place to another, but one who is intelligent can take shelter of the lotus feet of Govinda and thereby automatically become sanctified as the result of this pilgrimage." So anyone who is fixed in the service of lotus feet of the Govinda is called Tirtha Pada. He does not need any travel to holy places. That means pure devotees of the Lord. We are not on that platform, but pure devotees of the Lord, even by being situated wherever they are, because they are so powerful, they can sanctify even the places of pilgrimage. So anyone who is fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord, they are all called Tirtha Pada. he does not have to travel to these various places of pilgrimage. And he can get all those benefits simply by engaging his service on the lotus feet of the Lord. Very nicely explained. Yeah. Fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam also there is a very nice quote which says that the lotus feet of the Lord is the source of everything that we see in this material world. That is why it is known as Mahat Padam. That means the total source of material existence rests on the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord Himself says, Aham Sarvasya Pavo Mata Sarvam Pavatate. That means the caustic manifestation is compared to an ocean of nescience or ignorance. But that is resting on the lotus feet of the Lord. So it says that as such, this great ocean of ignorance is minimized by a person who is a pure devotee of the Lord. And one who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord need not cross over the ocean, for he has already crossed it by virtue of his position at the Lord's lotus feet. That means one who has taken shelter of the Lord's lotus feet has already crossed over the ocean of this material ignorance. Another important quote in the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which says, by hearing and chanting of the glories of the Lord or the Lord's devotee, one can become firmly fixed in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. I mean, just by hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, one can easily fix his mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. And further, there's a quote that's saying that Lord Krishna is the fountainhead of all the principles of Vishnu Tattva. I mean, there are so many Vishnu Tattva, that is incarnations of the Lord, but Lord Krishna is the fountainhead. And therefore, shelter of his lotus feet can deliver one from all the sins, including an offense committed by a king unto a Brahmana. That is how taking shelter on the lotus feet of the Lord is very, very powerful. Further, it is said to meditate upon the lotus feet of the Lord means to become free from the effects of all previous sins. That means the one who takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord becomes free from all previous sins that one has committed. And the reason it is given is that this whole material world has been created that in a way that one commits sins willingly or unwillingly. But by taking shelter of the lotus feet, like for example, if given like Parikshit Maharaj, though he was sinless, but he became a victim of an offense by uh, on a great personality like Shamika Rishi. So he was also cursed, but because he was a great devotee of the Lord, such reverses of life can become favorable. But the principle is that one should not willingly commit any sin in his life and should remember lotus feet of the Lord. That means it's not that by one who knows that by taking shelter of the lotus feet, one can become purified. That does not mean that by doing so, one should willingly commit any sin. Only in such a mood will the Lord help the devotee make a regular progress towards the path of liberation and attain the lotus feet of the Lord. Yeah. Before I conclude, there is a quote in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that even the lotus feet of the Lord is so tasty that even Lord Krishna wants to taste his own toes. It has got so much of a nectar that Lord Krishna wants to taste the nectar that is coming out of his toes. So the Lord licks his toe to taste that nectar for which devotees aspire. Sometimes the Supreme Lord wonders how much of transcendental pleasure is there within himself. So, in order to taste his own potency, the Lord sometimes even takes the position of uh, tasting himself. So, example is given as to how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. Lord appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because the Lord, when in the case of Lord Krishna, he's got so many pure devotees who are tasting that mellow of devotional service. So Krishna actually, out of all the devotees, Srimati Radharani is the greatest of all the devotees of Lord Krishna. But still, Lord Krishna wanted to understand how is it that his devotional service unto him is so sweet that Srimati Radharani is tasting that. Radharani is none other than the greatest of all the devotees. And she is tasting that mellow of devotional service unto me. So Krishna wanted to realize how sweet that transcendent melody is, which Srimati Radharani is getting, and I am not able to get. So, in order to taste that mellow, Krishna appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the mood of Srimati Radharani. So, the lotus feet of the Lord is nectarian, for which Krishna licks his lotus feet. The Lord also appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to taste that nectar which Srimati Radharani relishes by rendering devotional service unto Krishna. So, with this, I conclude the class for the day. Does anybody have any questions, comments? Yes. Anybody, any questions on the subject today?
No, Prabhu.
Any
Thank you,
comment?
Prabhu. Wonderful.
Thank you, bro.
Nice
Thank you,
class.
bro.
Taking like how we can take shelter of like Krishna's lotus feet, like practically, Prabhu. Like,
Uh,
philosophically, we understand. Yeah.
when we see the deity form of the Lord, we see the lotus feet of the Lord. We don't try to remember the lotus face of the Lord, but we try to remember the lotus feet of the Lord. So that is what we should. In fact, the Lord is present in the Archa incarnation just to reveal His form, spiritual form, which we can't realize. But by meditating on that Archa incarnation, one can realize that form of the Lord also, which is spiritual in nature. But more so anything, by seeing the lotus feet of the Lord, one should constantly meditate on that lotus feet instead of trying to meditate straight away on the face of the Lord. If you see, the lotus feet of the Lord are very nicely painted to depict that lotus feet itself. This is how normally pujaris paint the deities of the Lord. So that lotus feet are very clearly visible. One should go near and see the lotus feet of the Lord and try to meditate on that.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thanks.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else? So thank you all very much because I have another class to go. So I take leave of you. Thank you all very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila